Okay, over the weekend, I drove down south and picked up this 1988 K30 Chevy truck. It's got an original 111,000 miles on it. Very well taken care of. Somebody spent some serious money on this thing. I've been watching the local internet and surrounding areas for almost 2 years now, trying to find a good, solid crew cab that doesn't have rust issues that we can build. This will be the fourth one I built. 2 of the 3 that I've already built, I ended up putting Cummins diesels in, and this one will end up with a Cummins diesel in it. But it's so clean and it's so good that it's probably going to be a while before I get to that point, because there's so many other things I need to do first. Namely, the first thing is get that bed off the truck. I sold that bed over the weekend. I threw it on up on the internet, and I knew that somebody either in landscaping or in arbor work would love to have this bed. So the guy's gonna be here in about 5 hours to pick this bed up. So not only do I have to remove it and remove it safely without hurting myself, but I've got to do it in a way where he can reinstall it on the next truck. There's gonna be some serious cutting and grinding, as well as using the cutting torch to get this thing off. So that's number one. The next thing that we're gonna do is convert it from a dually, which I don't care for dualies, back to a single rear wheel. And then on top of that, it's probably gonna end up a short bed instead of a long bed. But step one is getting this bed taken off and doing it safely. The truck bed is loose, the hydraulics are loose. Now I have to lift that thing off without hurting the truck, hurting me, hurting the excavator, and set it aside. And then I need to pull the hydraulics off.
I decided to run down and buy this truck because Cedar gave me a look that was more or less the go-ahead. She said if you fix that truck up, I would drive it. That's all she had to say. As fast as I could, I ran down, paid for it, loaded it on my trailer, and headed back. In the middle of this, we've been working on the shop trying to get it done. So really, I didn't plan on doing a whole lot to it, but I knew that this time of year, that truck bed would be easier to sell before the weather changes. So I wanted to get it listed for sale locally as soon as I could. My biggest concern taking it off the truck was that I not hurt the truck or hurt myself. It didn't take but just a couple of hours to get it off the truck, but the heavy steel that was used to mount the bed on took me almost as long to remove from the frame without compromising the frame. Just to put it into perspective, selling that truck bed for what I sold it for lowered the cost of the truck by 1/3. So the end result is I ended up getting this truck for a smoking deal because I was the one that had to remove that bed. But I don't like dualies. Dualies are good for one thing, and that's towing. Dualies don't do as well in the mud and the snow, and there's 2 more tires you have to buy every time the tires wear out. But I can't just convert this rear axle back to a single rear wheel because the measurements are not the same. But the front axle is the heavy-duty Dana 60 that everybody wants. And by replacing a few parts on that front axle, I can convert that back to a standard wheel. Cedar has been helping me with the trusses, but she's been gone for about 5 hours, so my goal is to work on the truck for just long enough to get a few things done. Before she gets back, then we'll get back on the shop. I still have to get the hydraulics off of the truck that go with the dump bed, and I need to take it off in a way where it can be reinstalled. I followed the heavy-duty wires from the back to the front, and it didn't take long to get it removed. I did damage the plastic hydraulic reservoir in the process, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Once I got all the hydraulics removed, and because I had the truck sitting in the shop, I decided to do just a little bit more, take the running boards off, get it looking a little better. Cedar's stepdad, Dave, is a general contractor. From the first time I met him, he was driving a 1987 square body Chevy short bed 4x4 that was one of the cleanest trucks I'd seen at that time. He drove that truck for many years, and every once in a while would take it in and get it repainted, and the truck always looked good. He would regularly have people try to buy that truck from him. Now one of Dave's grandkids, my nephew, drives that truck around. One of the things that Cedar said to me is, if I'm going to fix this up, don't get rid of it. Let's keep it. I have a habit of getting rid of these projects a couple of years down the road. They typically fund the next project when I sell them. This truck's clean enough that we may just hold on to it for a while. Our little parking area out here between the shop and the house is rapidly filling up. The motor that's in it has very low miles and it runs very well. For a time, we will drive the truck as it is, but the long-term goal is to put a Cummins diesel in it. I'm now on the hunt for an 81 to 87 dual gas door short bed. Hopefully I can find one close by, but I may have to travel to get a clean one, and I'm willing to do that for this truck. Okay, the motor has about 11,300 miles on it. For that reason, I'm not in a hurry, I guess, to swap it out. But that being said, I went and looked at a 12-valve Cummins last night. So they've already put an onboard air compressor on it. I mean, they really set this truck up to work. But I'm trying to talk Cedar into making this her daily driver if I can get it together fast enough. But super clean motor. Transmission has also been rebuilt, but it's only a turbo 400. It's only a 3-speed transmission. The interior is good. It needs a dash. Without question, but everything else is usable. I'm not crazy about the captain's chairs that they put in this thing, but we'll figure that out. I've put all kinds of different bench seats in these trucks before, so the back frame turned out really good. No damage, no cuts into the frame after I ground it down and really cleaned it up. So the next step is getting rid of this big dually axle and putting a single rear wheel axle on it, and I found one last night right here in town. I saw a listing for another truck, and he said it was a 1-ton. So I ran over and looked at the truck, and the truck was clean enough that I bought it. The price was right. It wasn't very much. And we're going to swap Rhett's stuff. From Rhett's truck, we're going to swap it onto that truck. We've had some VIN number issues with Rhett's truck. We're not going to talk about that right now, but we'll go into detail a little bit later. But buying this other truck solves that problem. This other truck has a clean title, and it should take care of our issues. So anyway, Cedar wants it painted. She doesn't want it to look all hodgepodge, which once I swap that single rear wheel axle, the next step is to make it a short bed. So I'm on the hunt for a short bed. I've made 3 of these short beds, and truthfully, I don't have a whole lot of use for short beds, but the old Dodge is going to be my go-to for the long bed stuff. So I'm really seriously trying to get Cedar to drive this truck if I make it, nice enough and dependable enough. And she's willing to. She just doesn't want it to look any more redneck than it has to. So anyway, if you can look over my shoulder, I'll show you. The sun doesn't. Okay, see that? The trusses are almost all set. So that's what I'm going to do the rest of the day. Get the trusses finished.